You don't need overcomplicated. You don't need 10 ingredients per meal. You need your basics. Protein source. And I just have this blanket rule. No less than 100 grams of protein in your main meals.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bree Hearn, and welcome to The Habit Nerd, the podcast where we unpack the science of habits, behavior, and what it really takes to create meaningful change. One of the most powerful ways to grow is to learn from people who are already where you want to be, because success leaves clues. And when we pay attention to those clues, we can shorten the path between where we are and where we're going. In these conversations, I sit down with people who are doing exceptional work in their fields, not just to hear their stories, but to understand the habits, decisions, and patterns that got them there. Think of it as a shortcut, a way to collapse time, to learn in one conversation what might otherwise take you years of trial and error. I'm so happy to have you here. Let's dive in. Hi there, Habit Nerds, and welcome to today's episode of the Habit Nerd podcast. I'm so excited for our guest today. Her name is Vanessa, and Vanessa is the founder of DVP Fitness. It is a women-focused fitness and nutrition coaching service designed for busy women and couples who are tired of quick fixes and the dieting cycle. Through DVP Fitness, Vanessa specializes in helping women over 30 build sustainable habits by addressing the real drivers of health and weight change, including hormonal health, gut health, lifestyle stress, and everyday routines. Vanessa's approach combines personalized coaching, habit tracking, and ongoing support with a really strong emphasis on long-term well-being rather than restriction or extremes. Now, what sets Vanessa's work apart is her focus on working with the body and not against it. She helps clients understand why effort alone isn't always enough and how consistent and realistic habits can lead to lasting change. Habit Nerds, you can see why I've reached out to Vanessa to come on as an expert on our podcast today. I'm so excited to explore the habit side of her work, how physiology, lifestyle, and behavior intersect, and what sustainable health actually looks like in our real and busy lives. So Vanessa, a warm welcome and thank you for spending the time with us on the Habit Nerd podcast today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Bree. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Great, let's dive into our questions. Now, Vanessa, a lot of the women that you work with have already tried everything. From your perspective, what's usually missing when people rely on their motivation alone rather than building supportive habits and systems?
I think the biggest thing in this area is motivation is very emotionally driven. And it can be driven emotionally through, how tired and fatigued you are from work, the kids, even simple things like the weather. When it looks gloomy outside, you can somewhat feel gloomy and then you don't feel motivated. And so I have a cardinal rule where I don't love to rely on motivation because we're all human and it's going to come in ebbs and flows. What I really like to focus on, and I guess this is how we get the best results for our clients, is focus on a structure and a system. And I want to put this into context for you. Like if you're a working mum and you've got, in my shoes, like for example, I've got two little kids. Melania, she's just about to turn 9. Thinks she's turning 16, but she's really turning 9.
Yes, I recognize that.
Yes, and I've got my little one, Marcus, he's 2. So I've got quite a big age gap between the both of them. So for me, it's not one drop off and one pickup point. My mornings are very, very crazy, hectic. So I create the structure and the system around what I need to deliver for my children on a daily basis, like get up, get them changed, get them presentable. And my daughter has hair, mind you, my daughter has hair down to her bum. So it's and she shows me every morning a picture on my phone and says, "Mummy, I want that," like a hairdresser, full hair, like I'm a hairdresser. And I'm like, Millie, that's not Mum's forte. Let's do a straight ponytail. But I
love the ambition though. I love it.
Yeah, she tries.
Mm.
But have a structure and I have a system for them to be able to get them ready, get them feeling good for their day ahead, get Millie to school, and then drop Marcus off at childcare as I work full time. And within that, I have to make sure bags are packed, lunches are packed. So there's a system, there's a structure there. And my children also have a system and structure from the minute that they wake up. And you don't have to be as regimented with that structure, but it's got to be a structure that works around what works within your household. That's also how I love to look at taking care of yourself. Like, no one's motivated every morning when they hear one of their kids yelling to get up. Oh no, I've got to get them ready for, for school, make breakfast, make lunches, get them changed. That's the same with what you need to do with yourself. You've got to go, okay, the days that you're not motivated, we need to heavily rely on the system and the structure that is tailored towards your specific circumstances. And that's honestly when it becomes bulletproof. When you move away from this headspace and this mindset of I'm motivated, I'm not motivated, I'm motivated, I'm not motivated, to I've got a system and I've got a structure.
And then it's just executing on that.
And execute, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that analogy of, we don't get to choose whether we feed our children or whether we, have clean clothes ready to go or whatever. That's just part of our system and part of our habits. So, yeah, to look at our own health and well-being with that same lens, that's really, I really like it. And I really do take the point that motivation is absolutely waning. And, as it's getting cooler here in Victoria, I absolutely recognize those gloomy days. It really does affect how, lack of motivated you are. Absolutely.
Yeah, and hormonally as well. Like, most 99% of women will find that when they're in their luteal phase, so the lead up to their periods, you start to feel, very emotional. Everything's irritating you.
Bit sluggish.
You're sluggish, you're bloated. And you start to question the simplest things that you usually don't question. And you just want to lounge on the couch in a baggy t-shirt and some trackies and do absolutely nothing. That can become very unmotivating, depending on where you're at hormonally. And the women who are, over the age of 40 going through perimenopause, like all those symptoms as well is eventually going to, bring, number one, your self-confidence down, but you'll find that you have more unmotivated days than you do motivated days. And this is why I guess I do have a saying, but I can't, it's language driven. Like sometimes so I won't say that, but it goes along the lines of stuff the mood, follow the plan. And if I was to turn my computer around, you would see I actually have a Post-it note. But I can't show you because instead of the word stuff, it's got something else, a bit more brutal to me.
I think we can use our imaginations. But the point's a really good one. Yeah. So yes, what is it? I know the word that we're replacing, but stuff the mood,
follow the
plan. Yeah. And the other thing I often think about there in terms of the system or the structure is it actually creates freedom, doesn't it? Because you don't have to be thinking about what should I do today. It's all set there, and then therefore it takes away that kind of cognitive load of the decision making, and it gets you out of that should I or shouldn't I, and how am I feeling in the stories that we can tell ourselves. So that's really simple. Just move beyond the mood and just follow the plan. I love
100%. It. And be accepting as well, ladies, be accepting that the plan isn't always, or that structure and system isn't always going to go to place. A couple of weeks ago, Melania's school called me and I had everything running on time that day, and her school called me and she said, you need to come and drop off some pants. Melania split her school pants open. And
we can't plan for this stuff. Yeah.
You can't plan. The worst thing was, Brie, was the other school pants that she had were in the wash wet.
I was going to say, my girls wouldn't even have a second pair of pants, I don't think.
Yeah, well, she does cartwheels and she loves her gymnastics, and she'd
you need a plan for that. Yes.
So I had to step away from my desk. By the time I got to the school, I went in the toilet with her, got her changed, with her sports pants, and then came back home. I was 45 minutes out from my schedule.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, well, there goes, like I had to catch up on a meeting that I'd had to miss. There goes my walk this afternoon. So instead what I did was over the next 2 days, I went, okay, I can still make this system and structure work. The steps that I missed out on, that was part of my target on the Tuesday when the school had called. I'm going to carry them over to the next 2 days and do addition.
mm,
So there's always little ways, around it. And then the most obvious one, Bree, that comes about is, and I was just having this conversation with my operations manager. If you become unwell, because we are human, right?
mm,
You become unwell, you have an injury. This is where I probably wouldn't carry on my system and structure as per normal. Learning how to navigate and have things like deload weeks where you go,
mm,
okay, if my system and structure has 10 things that I need to tick off, basic things on a daily basis, like step count, water intake, take my supplements, follow my meal plan, on training days we train. If it has 10 small things, and it can be as small as drink 2.7 liters of water that day, what can I knock off that list that's
mm,
out of my control while I'm recovering? Probably anything that's going to create additional exertion. So step count training, throw it in the bin.
mm.
But you can still follow your meal plan that day. You can still drink your water. You can still get quality nights REM sleep and be in bed early so you get proper sleep. So it goes back to a lot of people also become unmotivated when they fall into it's got to be the all or the nothing.
Yeah.
Never has to be.
Yeah, I really, really connect with that. And I think that's such an important reminder. And it's sort of that thing of, yes, in your example that you're unwell or that you've got an injury, the motivating factor or the dopamine hit or the self-trust that you get from still getting your water intake and still paying attention to your sleep and still paying attention to the nutrition that you want to execute is really good, sort of evidence, self-trust evidence to say, oh, I still am the sort of person who can show up for these anchors that I have throughout the day. And then nothing's permanent. When this injury heals or when I'm feeling better, I'll get back on the horse with the movement. So yeah, I think I really connect with this idea of just don't drop the bundle altogether. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't have, don't let perfect get in the way of good, I guess.
yeah. And a lot of people ask, this is really funny, so you've got to learn when you want to take care of your health and your fitness to dig deeper beyond a scale result.
Mm-hmm.
And this this took me a little bit to, I think it comes with maturity, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But also as well, just experience, like general experience. We were born in an environment. And sorry for anyone who's 20 years old that listens to this because they wouldn't be able to relate. But for 35 up, we were
Mm-hmm.
born in this environment where every magazine that was available to us, because we didn't have phones with TikTok and,
Mm-hmm.
at that time. So we would buy these magazines, and on them you'd see these Victoria's Secret models. You'd see, wafer thin models, and you'd see Weight Watchers being slashed everywhere, Jenny Craig being slashed everywhere, all about these 1,200 calorie diets. And
Mm-hmm.
it was always numbers driven. It was always about how
Yes.
much was showing on that
The
scale.
scale, yes.
And so now I feel like majority of the population relate their health and well-being to a scale number.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, yes, that matters. Some people have really unhealthy BMIs, and yeah, you do need to lose 10 kilos, or you might need to lose 20 kilos to get your cholesterol panel down, to get your systemic inflammation down, to bring in your BMI. But at the same time, I always ask my clients, beyond these scales, what is the true reason why you want to fix this? Because trust me, it's not that number on the scale.
Mm.
It's not that number on the scale. it's got to go beyond that. What is the true reason? Is it because you're looking at your children and you say, I never want to leave them. I want to be around for them as long as I can. For me, it was always, for me, what my trigger point was moving away from that scales was when I had my daughter. I just wanted to be able to run with her. I wanted to be able to have fun with her. And this is really crazy, but I wanted her to look up to me and be like, my mum's a cool mum. My mum's a fit mum. My mum takes care of herself. And I wanted her to look up to me in that way. And I wanted it so bad that I was like, that's my why.
It's your why.
And that will trump any day that when you wake up and you say, oh God, I don't want to do this today. I think about why do I want to do this today? It's definitely not the number on the scales.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of those two little people that I popped out of this belly that I need to be around for long term.
Yeah. Doesn't sound crazy at all. It's, it's that leadership piece, and it's, I get it, because the why will take care of the what and the how, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it will get you out of bed. There's a few little tricks that I do because I wake up really early because my job is very demanding. We're very busy all the time. So I actually really need to be on time with everything. And so I wake up at 5 every morning. And sometimes I lie there and I'm like, and especially when I was in my first year postpartum with Marcus, I actually didn't have any maternity leave. I went back to work 2 days after I had him, and I was exclusively breastfeeding. And I was up breastfeeding him, but I was determined to feel myself again. And I would wake up in the morning after like 4 or 5 hours sleep, if that, broken between breastfeeding, and I'd go close my eyes and take a deep breath, and I'd go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just get out of bed and get it done. So I was like treating my body like it was this little rocket ship that just needed to go.
And that's Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. I'm sure you've heard that. It's sometimes just enough to break the cycle of the thoughts that you can get yourself into, isn't it? Just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, out. Yeah, love it. Vanessa, DVP Fitness talks a lot about hormones and gut health. How does that change the way you think about habits like eating, movement, and recovery, especially if we're talking about women who are over 30?
Look, it changes everything. It does. And I know that there's very conflicting information. There's a lot of conflicting information, and I'll start with this, Bree. So we have a biochemist on board, Daniel, amazing man, our brains man is what we call him. So every client that joins us, we do a blood work assessment, and that spans all the way through from general biochemistry to hematology, cholesterol, hormones. And when we open blood work, so we meet daily as we have that many reports that we got to get through. One of the first things like we scroll down to is that hormonal panel to check where the client who's coming on board is sitting hormonally. And main things when we look at the pre-screening form with anyone with symptoms like disrupted sleep, really like suffering with stress more than usual. So put that in like your cortisol pillar, poor gut health, inflammation, struggling almost to like they can't identify this at the time, but their body starts to slow down in its way that it responds to insulin. So blood glucose levels aren't stabilized. So they find themselves like snacking a lot more. In some cases, for serial yo-yo dieters, they find that they have no appetite at all and are constantly skipping meals. And as I said, big one is disrupted sleep, the night sweats as well. So all of these things you can imagine, from having very little of these symptoms to all of a sudden these symptoms like almost like one by one creeping up on you, and before you know it, you're in the world of discomfort. Build up of visceral fat has started to happen around your midsection, and then you wake up one day and go, what the hell is happening to me? And why can't I seem to feel anything like myself? And most women wake up and see, oh my God, where's all this weight come from? And most of the time it is hormonally driven about where they're sitting in their life. The good thing that I always say to women is that the earlier you get onto it, the better. So a lot of people wait for peak menopause to hit. And then they book in a call and they say to me, Vanessa, I want to lose 10 to 15 kilos. Over the last year and a half, this has piled on. And I don't know why. I'm not doing maybe,
My diet's
okay,
the same.
yeah, maybe I'm having a little bit more than usual, but not to the amount that would equate to 10 to 15 kilos. And the first question I ask is, okay, how old are you? Where are you at hormonally? And you would not believe it, Bree. Most of them say to me, oh, I think I am perimenopause. I think I am. Okay, when was your last blood test done? And they can't answer me, or they've gone and gotten very little context, with where they're sitting. And then as soon as I ask them about like what potential symptoms they're having, without me having to say, as we're not medical professionals, I already know what's going to come back with the blood work. And before you know it, we open it and the client's sitting in, not just perimenopause, but peak menopause. And there's a lot of systemic inflammation happening in their gut health, which we can see through their MEBs on blood work. And we're like, okay, this is the pillars that we need to work on. The way that you should be consuming a diet and also as well exercising does need to change, but not big changes and not difficult changes. This is where, coming back to that motivation, Brie, a lot of people make it out like, oh my God, if you're in menopause or your hormones have changed, you need to like flip the script on your whole life. Everything needs to change. Cut out preservatives. Don't eat sugar. Don't eat carbs. And I'm like, my clients are losing 20 kilos in peak menopause. And guess what? They're still eating the carbs. They just buy their produce from Coles or Woolies. They don't travel an hour to the health food shop to go and get these organic, low carb. No, they're shopping at Coles or Woolies. They're still having their coffee on a daily basis. But there's two main pillars we really focus on. Well, three actually, that we focus on in their meal plans. If you are menopausal, bump up your healthy fats, have more of them. Yes, you lower your carbohydrates, and you predominantly want to stick to complex carbs. So things that don't hold a lot of saturated fats or little to no saturated fats as your carbohydrate sources. And make sure your fiber, like I like to see fiber over 30 grams, like 30 plus per day, to help keep the bowels regulated, the metabolism ticking. And stick to your basics. Drink your water, 2.7 liters a day. Pick up your net activity. Like, don't worry about running on a treadmill or going and doing 1,000 Zumba classes. It's not going to serve you. Go for a walk and focus on a quality level of step count. And if you are interested in also building lean muscle mass, the best form of exercise one can do, especially if they are menopausal, is resistance-based training, so weight training. Because as we age, lean muscle mass starts to deplete. And it starts to deplete quite quickly when you hit over that 38 pillar mark. So that's why I like to encourage my clients to strength train. And it does not need to be high intensity strength training. It needs to be training with intent and progressive overload, low intensity, controlled strength training. And we look at cardiovascular output from a step count perspective. But in terms of diet, your diet actually needs to be more simplified. It needs to be more healthy fat focused. And meals as well, the quality of the meals matter. No more than 4 to 5 ingredients per meal. And all you have to do is have one protein source, a healthy fat source, a complex carb source in each meal. And that will also stabilize blood glucose levels and help your body respond to insulin at a better rate.
Hi there, quick one. If your habits feel all over the place right now, listen up. I've created a 17-day tiny habits reset. And it's not about waking up at 5 a.m. or overhauling your life. It's about the small, invisible habits that are already running the show and how to shift them fast. In just a few minutes a day, you'll start to build habits that actually stick, feel more in control, and finally trust yourself again. No pressure, no perfection, just real change that lasts. The waitlist link for the 17-day Tiny Habits Reset is sitting right inside the show notes of this exact episode. So pause this for a second, scroll down, tap the link, and secure your spot before the doors officially open. I can't wait to see you in there. This is very helpful, Vanessa, and one of my sort of core pillars that I live by is simplify to amplify. Like, I think we overcomplicate everything in life, don't we?
Yeah.
And so I love a lot of what you've just said. I'm glad you mentioned protein in the last part of what you mentioned there, because I was waiting for, you mentioned the fiber, which I think is something that we often forget about. We're good at kind of mapping in the macros, but, in terms of like bowel regularity and, being able to get good fiber in, there's a really great reminder and something we don't hear as much about. So I think that's a really helpful reminder. I really love too that you're talking about quality step count, and not, having to sign up to 3 different classes at 3 different gyms and, where am I going to fit this in? And I'm not feeling great about myself. There's so many barriers there, isn't there? Whereas if you aim for, what would you say, 8 to 10,000 steps a day, would that be an achievable goal?
I like to say 8 to 10,000 a day, but also as well, like, I was just having one of my clients, Melissa, she has dropped, what are we at now? 24 kilos with us. And yeah, presented hormonal barriers when she first started. And recently she's just swapped jobs. And this morning she said to me, we've just entered back into a fat loss stage. We've got a little bit more weight we want to shift. And we just entered back into a fat loss stage. And this morning I got her to weigh, yesterday morning I got her to weigh in. And we hadn't seen any movement for 2 weeks. I'm like, that's strange. And then we identified this morning that because she started her new job requires her to be a lot more sedentary. So she's not on her feet as much. And then I said, Mel, like, where are you at with your strength training? And she's like, since I've started, I've been doing long hours. It's been barely anything. And I said, okay, boom, there's a problem. So instead of me trying to say to Mel, Mel, between your 2 kids and your new job, you should be still getting your step count and training. She just told me I can't. So I need to work with that from a nutrition perspective. And I said, okay, let's make some small adjustments to your meal plan to make sure that it marries up with what your execution is at this time in your life. So I look at it this way, Ideally, it's amazing if you can execute on both nutrition and movement, but there's going to be stages where you can only execute on one, where it's going to be nutrition only, maybe due to your workload, maybe because you're unwell, maybe because, you've had that unexpected call like I did. I had to go to Millie's school 45 minutes out of my day. I could still execute on the nutrition, but you can't then execute on your training. So what you want to do is you want to leverage on the one that you can control, and you make small adaptive changes to be able to suit the outcomes that you want to achieve on that particular week. And it is, again, Brie, all back to that first question you asked me, because what is going to keep you going and actually spark your motivation is when I can still tick a box. I can still tick a box because it's within my control. So that's I'm really big on leveraging points to make sure that the weeks keep rolling on.
Yeah, I think that's so supportive and just so realistic. There's no point working with someone who says, oh, you can't fit it in. Well, you just need to find a space to fit it in. Like, it's much more supportive to say, okay, I can hear you've got, a lot of
Mm.
caring responsibilities and a new job. And so what is achievable? And I love that you've always got the end goal in mind there. So what levers can you pull so that's still an achievable, outcome? Vanessa, your programs are designed for busy women and couples, as we've talked about. What does sustainable habit change actually look like when someone doesn't have hours to meal prep and to train and to track everything?
Yeah, yeah. This is probably the most important factor because I've got just a little bit about my personal life. So amongst my two kids, I work full time. I also run the back end of my husband's business. And my husband also he's not tech savvy. He doesn't send emails or he doesn't know how to pay bills online. He's very old school. And so that's my forte. I take care of everything in that aspect. But then we also have our third business coming along, our third pillar of and so we've been working both really hard in the background. So I am so time poor. And if you ask my team if I'm on time anywhere, they're like clapping for me. And I'm the sort of person that I will sit there and apologize for 10 minutes because I feel so guilty and I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone else's time. But I am time stretched. I am so time poor. I can't wake up any earlier. I wake up at 5 o'clock. So for me, I need simplicity. So I need simplicity, and this is why when I sat down with my team when we were creating the structure of the programs, we just keep saying, would we do that? Could I do that? I actually know I wouldn't. That stresses me out. That's too many ingredients. That's too much time. And to be really honest with you, the other thing is I hate the kitchen. I don't like mess. I'm not, I know I'm Italian and everyone just assumes, oh, you're Italian. You must be such a great cook. No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I like basic and I like simple. So again, going back to the structure is you don't need overcomplicated. You don't need 10 ingredients per meal. You need your basics. Protein source. And I just have this blanket rule. No less than 100 grams of protein in your main meal. So just say, you've got lunch, put 100 grams of chicken in there, uncooked weight. So obviously we cook it, but weigh it out 100 grams. So that way you're getting that protein intake in there. And then same with your brekkie. If you want to have like oats in the morning, make sure, or Weet-Bix, and you've got a little bit. I don't love relying on protein powders, but sometimes for convenience, there is some really good ones that you can get out there. But you're doing protein or you're doing oats or Weet-Bix, chuck a scoop of powder in there if you're time for them. If you've got the time, cook eggs, right? Get your 100 grams, get your 100, a good 100 grams of protein in your lunch and dinner, and for breakfast, at least try and be getting a quality source of protein into that meal. So if you break it down like this, Bree, we want 1.6 grams to 2 grams of protein per body weight. And I want to simplify this because I get asked this all the time. People are very confused by that statement. So if you're 60 kilos, you want to hit a minimum of 120 grams of protein a day. That's at the top end. At the least end, you probably want to be hitting around that 100 gram mark.
Okay.
But then for a female that's 80 kilos, for her to ingest 160 grams of protein every day and live by that, that's 2 grams per kilo of body weight. I just think that that's really difficult to be focusing on, right? That amount of protein, 160 grams is a lot of protein. So I like to have a blanket rule, no less than 120 grams of protein a day. Start there and you can work your way up. Easy ways to do that is break it down like this. Breakfast, 30 grams of protein. Lunch, another 30 grams of protein. Dinner, 30 to 40 grams of protein, and fill the rest of your daily snacks to fill the rest of what you're missing. So if you go 369 and then you've got will take you to 120 with your snacks. That's 30 for breakfast, 30 for lunch, 30 for dinner. Most people will get 40 for dinner if they have like a good solid meal. And then you'll have 20 to 30 grams of protein to fill with your snacks. You'll tick your 120 gram target that day. And the way that you look at it is one protein source in every meal, one complex carb source in every meal, and one healthy fat in every meal.
Yeah, it's not hard, is it? What would be some examples? I'm thinking of Greek yogurt as a snack. I'm thinking of maybe some protein powder in a smoothie. What are some other?
So quick, easy one is like you could do, for example, a lot of people love like the Chobani Fits, the Yopros. They're the obvious ones, but I've got quite a sensitive, I'm gluten and dairy intolerant. So I've got quite a sensitive gut. So I like to, stick to, plain Greek yogurt, and I'll put a scoop of gluten and dairy free protein powder. I use the WellTech Complete Collagen. You can purchase that from Nutrition Capital. I can give you guys a link. It is the best one because it has a full amino acid chain. Scoop that into my yogurt, mix it around, and then to get some fiber into that little snack, I'll have a kiwi fruit or some raspberries. Little quick tip, if you really struggle with your fiber intake, raspberries are the highest fruit that you can consume in fiber. So if you have 100 grams of raspberries, you're looking at fiber levels like ticking over fiber levels of 10 in just that one little meal by putting 100 grams of raspberries.
That's great news. I love raspberries.
Yeah, just buying them fresh is expensive. So I just buy them frozen.
Okay, great.
And so that's a good snack. Another complex carb snack is a really good one. The corn thins,
Oh, yes.
Corn thins. Have some corn thins. Have like 4 corn thins, 20 grams of avocado for your healthy fat, and then you can dice up some 2 boiled eggs on top. That's another really good healthy snack. Again, for people who are wanting like super, super convenient, really easy, Carmen's does a huge range of bars, and Mavis do too. But if you have a sensitive gut, you probably want to stick away from those sorts of things because they've got a lot of preservatives and artificial flavorings. But if you have a little bit more flexibility and don't have gut health issues, having one of those a day is not going to hurt you. And they contain anywhere up to 14 grams of fiber. And then quick, convenient little snacks. If you've got some complex carbs that you need to fill, and just remember, ladies, like, as I said, like, don't be scared of carbs. Carbs is a female's main source of fuel. I don't know where this whole let's not eat any carbohydrates came from, but carbs is a female's main source of fuel. So if you're lacking in energy and you've been trying to cut out carbs, that's probably why. So the Cobb's popcorn, great one, great little snack to fill complex carbs. Oh, Table Plenty is my favorite range.
Yes.
And as you can see, all of these things can be sold at they're at Coles and Woolies.
Yeah. I should actually let the listeners know I learn a lot from your Instagram with these sorts of ideas. Like often you'll show, a day, or you'll show the shopping trolley. And they're really simple. They're really achievable and really accessible, as you say. So I just thought it was, I just thought it's helpful to actually drill down into actually what I think we're pretty good at. It's very common to hear, the healthy fats, the good complex carbohydrates, and a source of protein in meals. But I think snacks to get to that 120 benchmark is where people fall down. So thank you for giving me some ideas. And I would, recommend people check out your work, Vanessa, for lots of ideas because it's super simple and really helpful.
There's so many little pillars you can pull off. And again, it's about what you're saying, like you want to leverage off things that you can control. So if you find that, you're really struggling with getting that additional protein in your snacks, don't focus on your snacks as a protein income for that day. You can look at snacks as almost like your charity. It doesn't get put anything in the bank. It's out of goodwill to yourself. You know what I mean? And then you can look at your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinners as your leverage point, where you might go, okay, instead of having 100 grams of chicken in my, rice bowl for lunch or for dinner, whenever you want to have that, bring that chicken up to 150 grams at raw weight, and that will skyrocket the protein for that meal.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so, and it's about, I know everyone says, like, you know, you gotta work smarter, not harder. And that's why I have that philosophy when you are wanting to achieve a result. Along with the structure and routine, you want to be doing it smarter, not harder, because the harder means you've got to do more, and that's you don't
Too
have
many
the time
steps.
to do more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where the system will fall down for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of my work and a lot of this, a lot of experts that I have on this podcast, Vanessa, talk about this idea of identity change, and, you know, the role that plays in sort of sustainability of habits. So I'm interested in terms of your work. At what point, having worked with hundreds and hundreds of women, do you see people stop thinking I'm on a program, like I'm following a program with Vanessa, and start thinking this is just who I am now?
We were actually talking about this a couple of weeks ago in our team meeting, because, you know, we get, as coaches, check-in days, we get really excited. Like, we are all head deep into our check-ins with our clients, but we share a lot of we have a group WhatsApp, and we share a lot of things that people write in there, because out of pure excitement, like, we're so you become
pride you have with people. It's lovely.
I know you're not supposed to with work, but I have an emotional attachment to my clients' achievements, results. But once you get to know them, you know, you have this just connection, and so you can't help but genuinely care. And what I love seeing is when I'll say to a client, how's your week been? How are you feeling? And they're like, oh, I had a really tough week. I didn't have a chance to complete this, and this. But, you know, I had one kid that I had to rush to hospital. I had another one that I had to pick up from school early. And then I was here, there, and everywhere. Then I had to go and get, my mum needed me for something, so I had to go there. So within all of that, Vanessa, I still got my 10,000 steps done. I only trained twice this week. And I stuck to my meal plan, except one night I had dinner at mum's house, and the other night me and hubby just went and got a quick bite to eat. And I'm like,
amazing.
Tick, 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 tick. Because in their minds, they think that that's horrible. And I'm sitting there going,
you're
and then
fine.
I remind them, I'm
that's
like,
life.
Remember when you first started? You were doing none of that. You were not getting your steps in. You were not following a structured plan any day of the week, right? And now you're coming to me and you're like, with all this chaos that happens, right, between the kids, my mum, you know, the pickup from school that I had to go into, still getting your step count in, you're drinking your water. You tried to get into bed earlier some nights, so you got quality of sleep. You got 2 training sessions in. You weren't even training before you met me.
Yeah.
And you stuck to your meal plans majority of the week. You stuck to your meal plans over 90% of the week. Like, I'm sitting here a pretty damn happy coach, but they think, because they've been following the structure and routine, they're like, and then they have a minute, they're like, oh my God, I don't know any different. Like, yes.
Yeah.
You don't.
So it's so much part of their identity, and it's unusual that they don't do it now. Yeah. Amazing.
So I have this saying, and when I feel that it's a client's achieve this, I say to them, we have truly DVP-ified you.
Amazing. Oh, that must be such a joy. And I don't think, just to go back to your earlier point, I don't think there's anything wrong with being emotionally tied to your work in the sort of work that you do, because I think that's the power of working with individuals. You know, they want, you know, that you want the best for them, and that's coming through the teaching that you're doing and, you know, the support that you're giving them. So I think, you know, I think your clients are really lucky. So never apologize for that emotional pride you're feeling for them. Vanessa, if a listener wanted to start one habit this week that would make a big difference to their energy and their consistency and stop overthinking, what one thing might you suggest?
Mm. Focus on the meal breakdowns.
Okay.
So go back to what I keep reiterating: protein, source, complex carb, healthy fat in every meal. Just look out for them, right? And the reason why I'd like to start here is because that's going to stabilize someone's blood glucose levels, and that helps them so much with energy production, but also as well, it's going to keep them more satiated for a longer period of time. So if your blood glucose sugar levels fall into line within 90 minutes after you've consumed a meal, you're going to be more compliant that day, and you won't snack as much, and you'll be fulfilling your body with quality nutrients. Because snacks, let's be honest, like, most people want to snack on things that don't actually serve them, because they crave them. But if you stabilize your blood glucose levels, what happens is those cravings don't come as much, and you're less prone to snacking on things that don't serve you. And I can guarantee you, like, any listener of yours would be saying, I've got a snack issue, right? A
Yes.
lot of people have snack issues.
Yeah, it's very
But
common.
it's not a snack issue. It's they're not stabilizing their blood glucose levels and blood sugar levels throughout the day. So that's why I like the structure of protein, healthy fat, complex carb in every meal. And breaking down, like, make sure lunch and dinner, like, just grab 100 grams of protein, like, and make sure it's in there at a minimum.
Yeah, I love it. And a lot of the time with my interview guests, the first question I ask is, what's a positive habit that's got a spillover effect into other areas? So me asking you that question is a great inverse of that what's one thing they can focus on? And you've said by breaking down what's in their meals, and then you've gone on to say what result that would have in eliminating snacking. And then I've got no doubt that it's going to improve your energy and make you more open to the thought of exercise. And I imagine there's some positive spillover with sleep and rest as well, when your body's getting the right nutrients throughout the day. Is that
Oh,
fair to say?
100%,
Yeah.
because everyone's body releases natural melatonin and magnesium, but you can also be having, the more nutrients you have, the better absorption rate your body's going to have. And you want to get your body, like, especially at night, like, you want it to be releasing magnesium and melatonin so you can have a better quality of REM sleep. And for, like, a high performer, like someone who's training every day, or what, like, for my example, like myself and some of my clients, like, unfortunately, like, we don't produce enough natural magnesium, no matter how clean, and good we eat, for us to be fully supported from a recovery. So sometimes supplementation is warranted. But if you're starting at the very beginning of your journey, you just focusing on, like, don't worry about taking any supplements to start with. Nothing's a magic pill. Like, get the biochemistry of your body ticking away nicely through nutrients and your nutritional outline, and you'll start to see everything else falls into place really nicely. I do want to address one thing, because I'm very big on clarifying, and I really don't want to leave anyone feeling confused. So I just wanted to give a few examples of when I say a protein source, a healthy fat, and a complex carb. I want to leave you with, like, a lunch meal. Like, a quick, easy lunch meal you can do, like, a rice salad, where you get a basmati quick cup from Woolies, Coles, Sunrise have basmati quick cups. And you can choose to have these hot or warm. And then you want to put 100 grams of chicken in there, which you can prep 2-3 days in advance and do, like, make it in bulk. And then you want to put some avocado for your healthy fat. If you don't like avocado, I know some people don't, you can use olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, as your dressing. Just make sure you're measuring it out, because olive oil can be quite calorie dense.
Yes.
And then stack it with your fiber. So stack it with your veggies. Stack it with your veggies
spinach,
that you
leaves,
love.
tomatoes.
Yeah. And, like, leafy greens have a really good level of potassium in them, so that's going to help balance out sodium. as well. So a meal can take you, that whole meal to make, that's 10 minutes. Cook your chicken in 10 minutes, right? If you're that short on time, buy the roast chicken. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just get it in. Get it in.
Yep.
10 minutes to cook. You're heating up your 90-second rice. You can steam at the same time your chicken is cooking. You can just steam your veggies,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't care, bird's eye frozen ones, chuck
Yeah.
them in the microwave. Just get your veggies in,
Mm-hmm.
and you can chuck that all in a bowl. Avocado, that's your lunch in 10 minutes is done. And you can meal prep that.
Yeah.
You don't have to, everyone, I'm sure most people have access to a microwave at work, but
Mm-hmm.
I was a sales rep for many years. So I was in the car 24/7, right? Just chuck it all in the fridge like the night before.
Just in a container. Yep.
Yeah. So that's like really, really easy way. Like, I know a lot of people say, what does that mean? A healthy fat, a complex carb? That is the prime example. And then another really good one is that can potentially be your dinner meal. I love doing wraps as well for lunch. Easy. Tuna, leafy greens and cucumber, avocado, and you can use the Samson's Pantry wraps or the Be-Free wraps. Be-Free wraps are really high in fiber. You can get them from Coles or Woolies. That's it. You've got your complex carb, you've got your healthy fat, you've got your protein.
Amazing. Thank you for breaking it down with such specificity and giving us examples. That's hugely helpful, Vanessa. And you know what? Such a good reminder of how simple that is. Like, it's almost impossible to not be able to do that. So yeah, thank you. That's massively, helpful and very, very achievable. So, Vanessa, we've hit our time, and I want to be really respectful of your time, given that you are so highly engaged and so busy with all of your clients and the million things that you're juggling. So I just want to let our Habit Nerd listeners know I'll put all of Vanessa's details and her Instagram account and her contact details in our show notes. I am so grateful for all of the advice and the time and the insights that you've given us today, Vanessa. I know our Habit Nerd listeners will gain a huge amount from all of your expertise and your generosity. So a big thank you from me and from our audience.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I love sharing my knowledge with the community. And I love just, I guess, debunking a lot of stresses, like things that people stress about that they don't need to. I'll also make sure that we pass on my free consultation link. So if anyone wants to book a free consultation, I'll make sure that Bree has that in order to give you guys. It's probably the easiest way to connect with me to talk about how we can connect and help anyone. And yeah, so thank you.
Oh, great. I'll make sure I pop those in the show notes as well. That's really generous. So yeah, thank you so much again, Vanessa.
No worries. Thank you so much.
If this episode resonated with you, I'd love you to share it with someone who might need it too. Because sometimes one conversation, one idea, or one small shift can change everything. Thank you for being with me here on the Habit Nerd podcast. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this episode was recorded, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. Take care, Habit Nerds, and remember the habits you practice today are quietly shaping your tomorrow.